Hey, welcome back to our study called Grief and Favor. We're looking at Genesis 6, and actually today we're only looking at verse 8. So that's what we're looking at. This section is called the grace of God. Last time we looked at the depravity of man, now we see the grace of God. Let me quickly point out two things we need to see in verse 8. First, though it is not specifically mentioned here, we need to keep in mind the nature of Noah. Noah was blameless in his generation and walked with God, but Noah was not a superman. He was not superhuman. As Frank Hall said, Noah was just like everyone else by nature, born dead in trespasses and sin, corrupt to the very core, self-serving, self-centered, self-willed, and self-righteous, wholly given over to the lusts of his own flesh, under the complete control and dominion of the prince of the power of the air. You might ask, how could Noah be blameless and walk with God and be corrupt and dead in his sin? I compare it to asking, how could David, an adulterer, murderer, negligent father, and selfish man, be a man after God's own heart? That's where we find the nature of God. God found favor or grace in the eyes of the Lord. Let me go back to Frank Hall, who said, the fact that Noah found grace in God's eyes is proof enough that he was sinful and vile. For were he righteous and holy in himself, he wouldn't need God's grace. Noah was singled out by the sovereign grace of God to be saved from the flood of God's wrath. Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord not because he was worthy of God's favor, not because he was better than others, and not because he deserved it, but because God is gracious, to whom he will be gracious. So, that's the truth. Noah was a sinner, just like everybody else. And it doesn't take long in the Noah story. When you get past the flood, you see right away, this man's a sinner. He's not a perfect man. You know, a perfect man would not get drunk and lay about naked. Just saying. So Noah's not perfect. He is all those things that Frank Hall said. Selfish. He's just like us. He's just a guy like us. But he found favor or grace in the eyes of the Lord. Favor and grace are the same word. And so that's what Noah found. And thankfully he did. And I'm sure he was thankful that he found favor in the eyes of the Lord. Otherwise he would have been drowned like everybody else. He would have died like his fathers did. So that's the mercy of God. That's the grace of God in this story of Noah. Right away at the beginning, showing that the only reason why he was chosen for this important task, the only reason why God said, yes, you will be the one that Lamech prayed for, is only because of the grace of God.